Hey guys, so we are in a bit of a heat wave here in Portland, Oregon. I was just looking on my weather app today and I think we have 10 days of straight sun and 80 to 90 degree temp. So really looking forward to it. It's been a bit of a rainy summer to kick things off and just thrilled for all this nice weather coming up. But what this means is that I'm gonna be out on my patio every day. I think it's like 4 p.m. right now. I'm gonna be out on my patio every day drinking some rosé. So I wanted to use this opportunity today before I crack into my rosé of the day to discuss how rosé is made, because there's several different methods. There's different terms that are used for these methods that you'll find online. So you really can go down a rabbit hole of how rosé is made. And it's really a fascinating wine. But the ones I'm gonna teach you today are the ones that we learned in our WSET Level 3 program that I took a few months ago. So it may be a different term than what you've heard, but like I said, there's a bunch of different variations in these terms. These are the ones that I learned though. To give you a quick rundown of rosé, just like a quick tutorial, rosé is typically made using black grape varietals. So the wine or red wine or the grapes that you will typically see in a red wine are ones that you will find predominantly with a rosé. So, for example, I am drinking a Wonelli rosé today from the Willamette Valley, and it is using Pinot Noir grapes. So, like I said, a rosé is typically using black grape varietals. And in a lot of places around the world, such as Provence in France, you will often see wineries make or have grapes that are used specifically for their rosé production. So that's a little fun fact. So let's talk about the three different ways to make rosé that I learned in my WSET studies. The first way is blending. So blending is something that maybe a lot of consumers think is just the way to make a rosé. And while it is used mainly in large production and bulk rosé, it's not typically the best way to have it, but blending is just as it sounds. It is blending white wine with a little bit of red wine to create the color of rosé and to get some of the flavors of rosé in there from the red wine. So, like I said, that's mostly your bulk, inexpensive method to producing rosé. I'm not sure how much. I've drank a lot of cheap rosé in my time, so I'm sure I've had a bunch of blended rosés, but some of them may be high quality, but for the most part, they're going to be your bulk and expensive rosés, your kind of basic bitch rosés. Then you have your direct pressing. So direct pressing is when the grapes are crushed and the juice is immediately pressed from the grapes. So it's going to be a black varietal grape, and so it's going to extract really light tannins or it's going to extract really light flavors and color from those black grapes, and it's not going to extract any tannins. Now, the other way, or actually before I jump into the third method, with direct pressing, it's going to produce a lighter colored, lighter bodied, very, crisp and refreshing rosé. Now, the third and most popular way of producing rosé is using the maceration method, or a short maceration as they call it in WSET. And this is basically just a short maceration period. So what this means is the grapes will come into the winery, the black grapes are crushed, and the grape skins remain in contact with the juice for a short period of time so that juice can extract the tannins, the color, and the flavor of the red wine before it is ultimately pressed into, the free run juice is pressed and it's used to make a rosé. So in those, you are going to have a more flavorful rosé. You're going to have, more complex aromas and characteristics like you would see in a red wine. You may have a little bit of tannin in that rosé, and it's going to be darker in color than your direct press rosé. And as you'll see, this one, it's a fairly light color, so I don't imagine that this Wonelli rosé was spent too long in contact with its skins, but it is really cool. I've done these different side-by-side comparisons of wines or rosé wines that have been in contact with the skin for multiple days versus just several hours. And the color contrast is really exquisite. It's really cool to see. So anyways, that is the different ways in which a winemaker will use to make rosé. So you have your straight up blending, which you see often in bulk, inexpensive rosé. You have your direct pressing, which is going to give it a really light bodied, light in flavor, light colored rosé. And then you have your short maceration method, which is going to give time for the skins of the black grapes to remain in contact with the juice before it is ultimately drained and then pressed, resulting in a rosé that's a little more flavorful and has a little more characteristic tannin and color than your other methods. So anyways, that's it. I'm gonna go crack into this and I will talk to you guys later. Okay.